It's been 25 years since the last comprehensive update to Internet regulations. That's why Facebook supports updated regulations on the Internet's most pressing challenges, like reforming Section 230 to set standards for the way larger tech companies enforce rules about content. Learn more at about.fb.com/regulations.
On August the 1st, Frank Siller, the CEO of Tunnel to Towers Foundation, began a near 500-mile Never Forget walk in Washington, D.C. to commemorate 20 years since the attacks of September the 11th and to honor the lives lost that day, including his brother, former FDNY firefighter Stephen Siller. Frank's journey ends this Saturday, September 11th, at Ground Zero in New York City. And he joins me now for his untold story. Frank, it's great to have you with us. As I said, I was so inspired when I saw this journey that you're doing that I wanted to bring you on and talk to you a little bit about it. But I think it's helpful, before we talk about the walk that you're doing right now, for you to take everybody back. For those, who may have never heard of your foundation or your brother, and I don't think there are too many people out there, thanks to you, but for those who haven't, tell them about your brother, Stephen, and why you've worked so hard for 20 years to remember him.
Well, thank you, first of all, Martha, for having me on. You've been a great friend to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, so I want to thank you. So Stephen, my brother Stephen, was the youngest of 7 kids. When he was born, my oldest brother, Russ, was 25, and I was closest in age. I was 14. And my father was almost 50, and my mother was 44. So he was our little miracle. Mm-hmm. And, when he grew up, by the time he was 8.5 years old, my dad just had passed away. And a year and a half later, my mom passed away. So he was an orphan at age 10, and he was blessed that he had much older siblings, and we raised him. Primarily my brother Russ in Rockville Center. Stephen was born on Staten Island. That's where I'm from. I've always been there for 68 years. And he grew up to be this outrageous human being. And he just wanted to become a firefighter. And at age 27 became a firefighter. And on September 11, 2001, he was just finished his night tour at Squad 1 in Brooklyn. And it's an elite squad. Really is there to help other firefighters in terrible situations. And my brother Stephen did train for terrorism as well. But he was just finished his night tour, and he was on his way home to play with golf with my brother Russ, my brother George, and myself. And he heard on the radio scanner that the towers were hit. So, what do firefighters do? They're going to find a way to get there. So he went back to his firehouse, got his gear, drove to the mouth of the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, where it was closed for security reasons, and strapped 60 pounds of gear on his back and ran into that tunnel. And I got to tell you, somebody said that, an eyewitness saw he came to a screeching halt, hopped out of that truck, put his gear on so quick, and ran into that tunnel. Now, when he came out the other side, he came out the other side to want to help and save people. And he, ran up the street and ended up in what we believe is the South Tower, because he was never recovered. But all his firefighter buddies from Squad 1, that's where they were. And you want to serve and try to save lives alongside the people that you work with every single day. And but anyway, while saving others, he gave up his life. And as a family, we wanted to honor what he did, and not just what he did, but what all these great heroes did on 9/11. Because while he was saving people and they were running out, he was running in, and that's, some died, some were murdered, but he chose to give his life up that day by getting into that tower.
So he sent word to you guys that he was going in, and so did you went on and played golf, or did you realize what was happening? What happened when you realized that he had headed into such danger, Frank?
Well, we didn't know that he got there. He called his wife and said, tell my brothers that I'll try to catch up with them later. This is even before the second plane hit. So now the second plane hits. No, we absolutely did not go play golf that day. And personally, I was going around to all different firehouses trying to figure out, where Stephen was. And I remember being home when the South Tower fell and turning to my mother-in-law and saying, Nancy, I think I just lost my brother.
Oh, my God.
because just knowing that he would find a way. I did not know he found a way there, but I got a call later in that day, and by that time, later in the afternoon, I had all my siblings with me, except my sister Janice, who couldn't get in from Long Island. So two of my sisters, two of my brothers, my wife, some of my kids were there. And I got a call from Richie Obermeyer, which is a firefighter that lived a couple doors away from my brother. And he said to me, Frank, I just want to let you know, Stephen's on a list of missing firefighters. I said, Richie, thank you for telling me. I've been calling him all day. He hasn't called me back. He goes, Frank, I just want to let you know it's bad down here. He goes, Richie, I know, I could see it. I've been talking to firefighters. I could see it's bad. And he goes, no, Frank, it's bad. I said, I know, Richie. He goes, no, you don't understand. Nobody's coming home. And I had to go in. I could barely walk in the other room to tell my siblings. And it was unbelievable. And to think that 3,000 families had to go through that same thing that we went through as a family. And that's why I'm doing this walk, because I don't want people to forget the sacrifice that was made by so many people, and that these terrorists, Islamic terrorists, try to kill as many Americans as possible and did kill 2,977. And we have to honor them. We have to honor them. And I wanted to do something special to honor my brother, and I'm so happy I took this, made this journey, this walk, because I have met the beautiful Americans who love America and say to me every day and encourage me every day to complete this journey that I'm on.
The Untold Story continues right after this.
It's probably been about 25 years since you've heard that sound, but that's how long it's been since lawmakers passed comprehensive internet regulations. That's why Facebook supports updated regulations on the internet's most pressing challenges, like passing a federal data privacy law and reforming Section 230 to set standards for the way larger tech companies enforce rules about content. Learn more about Facebook's progress and see what's next at about.fb.com/regulations.
You know, Frank, I think you are so inspiring, Frank. And anybody who's seen the commercials or who knows about the Tunnel to Towers run that happens every year to raise money, you raised money for all those families who lost their loved ones on the front lines that day. And then you've gone on to help all these other people who in the extended fight, who lost their lives in Iraq and Afghanistan, and firefighters and so many families that you have impacted with this commitment. And, it's understandable when people want to get away from this memory and they just want to move on by getting away. But you dig into it. You dig into it all the time. So why is that? Why have you spent the last 20 years doing what you do?
Well, Martha, I do dig into it because I love these families, because I know what they're going through. But I got to tell you something. I'm a very happy person, and my family is a very happy family. We decided early on that we wanted to defeat this evil by doing good. You know that my parents were Franciscans, and they taught us that the best way to heal is to do something for somebody else. And St. Francis said, brothers and sisters, while we have time, let us do good. And that is just what the foundation wants to do. We just want to do good in the memory, not just Stephen, once again, but all those who perished that day and all those who perished ever since. And that's why, look, you said it before, we take care of Gold Star families that are left behind after their loved one gave their life for their country, and that have young families. If you're catastrophically injured, you gave your body for your country, we're going to build you a mortgage-free smart home. And all the police officers and firefighters that give their lives every single year, they're willing to die every single day. They go out there, they don't know if they're going to come home, and we want to take care of those families. So our work is going to be cut out for us for the rest of my life and then some, because I pray that the foundation goes on forever, and I really do believe it will. But we're happy. We're a joyous family. We do this out of love. We do this because we want to help these families, to let them know. I talk to widows all the time. And I tell you, I have spoken to hundreds and hundreds of widows. And I ask them, do you believe in life after death? And they do. But I say, I'm not talking about for your loved one, for your husband who just gave his life. I'm talking about for you and your family. Do you realize that he wants you, or she wants you, whoever died, wants you to be happy and have a fulfilled life and to help others and be there for others? And this is what our foundation does. We bring people together, all these people together, so we can be the best. That's how you honor people, by having full, happy lives. And not every day's happy, don't get me wrong.
Sure. No, I love that. I love the question, do you believe in life after death? And I think it's something that everyone should take to heart. You know, you picture these individuals who lost their lives looking down on their families and being happy if they see that they have gone on. And you've done so much to help that happen. You know, I see these widows that you speak about and spouses that you speak about who, you know, get this enormous weight lifted off of them by your organization because, you know, they have the grief to deal with, and then they're saying, oh my God, how am I going to support this mortgage? How am I going to keep my kids in the house? And they all say the same thing, Frank. They say, you know, the next day I got a call from Frank Siller, who told me, you're not going to have to worry about this. What is that like for you, making all those phone calls?
Oh my God, it's very emotional. I will tell you that, and we cry on the phone together. Mm-hmm. But look, they know they're not alone. After 9/11, America lifted 9/11 families, and they did. They lifted us. It got us through a very dark period in our own lives, you know, for family members. And it was beautiful to see. And that's what we try to do at the foundation. We want to help lift these families through their darkest moments that they'll ever have in their lives, and let them know they're going to be okay, because people care, and that people are praying for them. So it is beautiful to talk to them, and I personally, it's one of the most rewarding things as the chairman of the foundation. And believe me, my other siblings call them, and a lot of people in the foundation talk to them. This is by no means a one-man operation. Yeah. We have so many people that just believe in exactly what we believe in. That's why our foundation is the way we are. The staff that we have is second to none. And Martha, we have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of volunteers. And that's why last year we delivered over 95 cents of every dollar that we raise goes to our programs. It's unheard of in the non-for-profit business. But this foundation bears my brother's name and image, and we are always going to hold it to the highest standards. But we can't do it unless your listeners and everybody else goes to tunneltotowers.org or T2T.org, make it even easier, T2T.org, and donate as little as $11 a month. You know, I've been pushing this for years, right? $11 a month. Because many hands makes light work, and that's what I dream of, that we get 1 million people to come together and we could take care of these families forever.
Well, I know that people who listen to this are going to do exactly that, because you're going to tell them to do it, and I'm going to tell them to do it, and they're going to do it because they're that kind of people, and they want to help. So 2 other things I want to talk to you about, and we're going to end by talking about your walk. But, you know, what went through my mind, I've been so upset, like so many Americans, about these 13 Marines and the Navy Corpsmen, 12 Marines and 1 Navy Corpsman lost in Afghanistan. I mean, when you look at these faces of these young people, it is just absolutely breaks your heart. And I know that all of us are sort of carrying these families with us in our heart. But one of the things that occurred to me when I saw this young, pregnant, newlywed, Riley McCollum's wife, I thought, I bet she's going to get a call from the Tunnel to Towers people. I bet they're going to help her. Are you?
100%. So we already contacted the DOD. The liaison to the family knows 100% our intentions. We actually sent it to him in writing. I have not spoken to her. She's in the final week of her pregnancy, but she knows that we are going to build her. If she doesn't have a home, we're going to build her a mortgage-free home. And if she has a home, we're going to pay it off. And believe me, they've relayed that message already. So it's one less thing that she has to think about. And that goes for the sheriff that was in Kalamazoo recently, that was shot, that left behind 4 kids. I spoke to that family already, and to let her know that we're going to pay off their mortgage. And the Connecticut state trooper that was washed away, swept away in the Hurricane Ida, we already contact that family to let them know that we're going to take care of those mortgages. Yeah. It is so important that we make a promise Martha, that we make a promise to these families that when they go to serve their country or their community and they give the kids a kiss goodbye and they don't come home, and it happens all too often, that we're going to take care of the families that are left behind.
I mean, they have such an enormous burden of grief and other burdens that they're going to have to manage, but you're just lifting one of the burdens, and it's a significant one. And that's just doing good, as you say, which is the Franciscan way while you're here. So, one more quick thing before I ask you about your walk. What do you, when you look at what's going on in Afghanistan and you see that the Taliban is back in charge on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, what do you think about that, Frank?
It breaks my heart. There's 7,000 families that gave their loved one for our country. And I speak to Gold Star widows all the time, and they're grieving. It's so painful for them. It's just breaks my heart that the greatest country that ever existed, that we couldn't exit there in the proper way and take care of our military and take care of other Americans that are left behind, and take care of these Afghan families that helped us in the war on terror. It wasn't hard to do. We have the greatest military, the greatest country. My God, it's just so unnecessary. And we lost 13 great Americans. So it just breaks my heart. And I know it breaks all the hearts of all these families that I know we went to war because what happened on 9/11. That's why our foundation wants to help all these families that are left behind, because we know they gave their life because of what happened on 9/11. So the synergy between us and Gold Star families are exactly the same. So I just ask America to pray for these families, because God knows they are grieving.
Absolutely. So tell us about the walk. You did something special this year, the 20th anniversary, and I wonder how you came up with this idea to do this walk, and tell everybody where you're walking to remember September 11th and where it's going to end up this Saturday.
Well, Martha, I wanted to do something special for the 20th year and to really honor my brother in a unique way. And I've always been a walker. It's been therapeutic for me. After 9/11, my brother Russ and I walked 2-3 times every single day after 9/11, and that's where he said, because he was studying to be a Franciscan priest, where he told me about St. Francis saying, brothers and sisters, while we have time, let us do good, and that's the whole premise of our foundation. But I wanted to do something special, and I was talking to a friend of mine, Bruce Woolrick, and he said, Frank, why don't you walk from D.C.? And I said, oh my God, no. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk from the Pentagon to Shanksville to Ground Zero, the 3 places that was such loss of life 20 years ago. Do something that's meaningful, and this is so meaningful. And it has been a journey that is so spiritual, and to meet these great Americans along the way and meet a lot of young families. And I was just in Easton, Pennsylvania. They had a Easton, Pennsylvania high school band. Over 300 of them were marching in this parade. There was thousands of them there, people, but 300 of them. I say, my God, this is why I'm walking. I want the youth of America to know what happened 20 years ago. And here they are marching, and I couldn't keep my emotions in. It was so beautiful to watch. And then I was at August 21st. I was at Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and I was with a group of New York City firefighters. And I got to go to the exact site where Flight 93, and by the way, that's the first battle in the war against terrorism. Those 40 great heroes fought that battle on that plane and took Flight 93 down to save Americans on the ground. And I was right at the impact zone, and they have a boulder there, and I knelt down. And I put my hand on the boulder, and I asked anyone that wanted to join me. Every firefighter, I had nearly 40 of them, knelt down with me. Who's got a hand on the shoulder has it on the boulder, and we said the Lord's Prayer, and it was gushing out of us to think about They were thinking about their firefighter brothers that died. They're thinking about all these great people they were digging on the pile looking for. They are thinking, and I'm thinking of my brother, and I'm thinking of the Flight 93 and all those at the Pentagon, and it was just gushing out of us, and it's a moment I'll never forget. I'll tell you, I am so happy. I'm walking 537 miles to commemorate the sacrifice my brother made, all the firefighters, the police officers, and to remember all the souls that were lost 20 years ago. And I want to end with this last thought because it is more uplifting. This is uplifting, what I told you. But I do it with a group of people. They set it up for me. My staff, again, has made this journey very easy for me. But I have New York City firefighters that go with me every single day, 3, 4, or 5 of them. And when I'm finished my morning walk, about 8 or 9 miles, they have breakfast ready for me, a brunch. And you know how firefighters cook. This is a real brunch. They have French toast, pancakes, sausage, you name it, bacon. It's incredible. And then I go out and I finish my walk. And then at 5 o'clock every day, every single day, 5 o'clock, they have dinner ready for me. I don't have to think about what I'm eating. And they're doing it to honor their brothers. But I got to tell you something, Martha. I'm the only guy that's going to walk 537 miles and put weight on. And,
I was just going to ask you about that. I was like, does the French toast, are you losing a little weight on this? Not that you need to.
So my wife was there at one of the parades, and I was telling her this story about these guys are doing, and I said to her, and by the way, Friday I'll be married 43 years, and I said to her, I said, hey, are you paying attention to this, Pat? What these guys are doing? I said, when I get home, you better start doing this kind of stuff.
Every time you get back from a walk, you'd like a nice big pile of French toast and pancakes.
She might get right in my face, is what she might.
Frank, thank you. We're going to be watching, of course, on Saturday morning when you make it to Ground Zero. And it's just a wonderful way to remember all of those who were lost and to focus younger people on this story, as you say. And I think it's so important. We've got a whole generation now that was either just born or wasn't born when this happened to our country. And I couldn't be more happy for everything that you've done. I just think, everybody's so inspired by what you've done, Frank, and it's great to talk to you. So I know everybody's going to want to listen to this podcast and share it with all their friends so that they can be part of Tunnel to Towers and how you are doing such great work. So God bless you, and thank you very much, Frank.
And God bless you, Martha, and of course, God bless America.
Amen to that.
You've been listening to The Untold Story. I'm Martha McCallum. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Make sure to rate and review. For more podcasts, go to foxnewspodcasts.com.
Hi, everybody. It's Brian Kilmeade. I want you to join me weekdays at 9 a.m. East as we break down the biggest stories of the day with some of the biggest newsmakers and, of course, what you think.
Listen live or get the podcast now at BrianKilmeadeShow.com.